That's right. Your eyes do not deceive you. You got 1 minute until we are live with you. And oh man, we got great news. I mean, some really good news for you today. Yeah, because we have a real rock star on with us today. Somebody representing the awarding of $30 million. Yes, I said $1 million. $30 million being awarded over at Weapons Pitch Day. We got none other than the Captain Jackson with us from the Armament Directorate. Stay tuned. You got 22 seconds. Could not be more excited for Winning Wednesday, bringing you the innovation wins from across the Air Force. Share it, enjoy it, like it, follow it. Make sure you let the friends and family, the innovation ecosystem know exactly what's taking place. Because we've got some goodness. Boom. Here we are, and we are back. Winning Wednesday right here with you. Team Morpheus, Project Morpheus, bringing you all the information you're looking for the innovation ecosystem of all the exciting wins that are taking place. I'm telling you, man, we got a real winner here. Real win from this last week that has taken place. In case you don't know, the Weapons Pitch Day was last week down at the Armament Directorate, handing out $30 million. Well, I should say, we can't say handing out per se, but awarding $30 million to, I believe it was 16 different companies. They had 73 total proposals, and this is how we win, my friends, is gentlemen, rock stars, extraordinaires, exactly like this man right here. Boom, Captain Jackson, Acquisition Program Manager, the Armament Director at Lifecycle Management. Kind sir, welcome to the show. So glad to have you with us. Truly, oh my gosh, man. When we talk about what capabilities and what exactly happened, you know, a lot of people may not know or understand what is actually really taking place. Honestly, when it comes to what the Weapons Pitch Day is and what that means. And I think personally, this is a massive win that people should really take notice of because of the goodness that was had in the workings of what actually took place, of bringing innovators right to the edge and bringing small businesses right to the people who have challenges or questions or problems. But man, I'm not going to... Listen, I just got to experience and observe the awesomeness that took place from you and your team. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us, one, a little bit more about the focus of the Armament Directorate and what that does in lifecycle management and why this pitch day was important, because this is big. I mean, this is what Chief Brown talks about with bringing answers directly to identifying the solutions and bringing them directly to the airmen who need them. This is awesome. Over to you, my friend. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened out there?
Well, Kinsley, first, I appreciate you allowing me to come on and talk about Weapons Pitch Day. We had a great time, a lot of innovation coming through, and a lot of things that we were able to see that are going to advance the mission of the Armament Directorate going forward. So, as you mentioned, we shook down 73 proposals, down selected it to 21 different proposals, 18 different companies that were given the opportunity to pitch to our Shark Tank, if you will, an esteemed panel of 7 judges from around the Air Force, Headquarters Air Force, Global Strike Command, ACC, AFWorks, here at the Lifecycle Management Center in the Armament Directorate.
Yeah.
And ended up with 16 proposals awarded, 14 different companies. And as you said, it totaled up to about $30 million. So it was a really good opportunity to push some innovation into the ecosystem and to connect with some of the small businesses that are around that will benefit our architecture going forward.
That was probably the most eloquently articulated statement I may have ever heard here on Morpheus. I mean, it is on Winning Wednesdays. That's incredibly true. Because the impact, man, that's the thing that I can't get over of what was able to be done, what was able to be communicated, and exactly how you were able to do that as a team. And we know that everything you see on the surface takes an absorbent amount more energy than we actually can observe, like while you're at the event. But I mean, we know there's the SIBR process, right? We know about the SIBR process. We know what this is. But to me, this was awesome to see this rapid acceleration. And we know for the businesses, I mean, of course, with 73 plus proposals, there was time they put the applications in, but they showed up ready to pitch. And this was like no joke. It wasn't for the faint of heart. They had 5 minutes to pitch their weapon system idea, capability. 5 minutes for questions, which the response from the the response from the businesses were like, listen, I've never seen so many professionals walk out of a room sweating. Almost, I'm not going to say there was tears, but it looked like almost maybe there was, which says that the judges, I mean, they had some serious questions, and it was a great judging panel as well. But would you mind telling us just a little bit more about why, why a pitch day? Why using this kind of Shark Tank-esque model? How has this been effective in the past? I know people have had questions. How can you expect to see success off of just, hearing a pitch for 5 minutes and then going after it? And of course, there's always going to be the naysayers. But the thing to focus on that I've seen and experienced just being hearing the stories was the quick, effective evaluation and getting to solutions. Would you mind telling kind of what that experience has been and how you've seen that work over the last several pitch days you guys have done?
Absolutely. So this was the third pitch day done here at the Armament Directorate, but these aren't the first pitch days that have been done in the Air Force. So you always get lessons learned from previous iterations. We started planning for this after the last pitch day, which was about a year ago. And so as you talk about a 5-minute pitch, a 5-minute Q&A, the amount of work that had gone into ensuring that the companies that were coming to pitch were vetted, that their technology would be beneficial, that they had the expertise in the background to be able to do it. That was all groundwork that was laid months ago. So these events, although it does seem, oh, wow, 10 minutes and then a 5-minute deliberation amongst the judges. Yes, however, previously we had done a vast amount of work to ensure that in that 5 minutes that the company will actually get a fair shake and an opportunity to provide the information that would make a determination as to whether or not they would be receiving a portion of this pot of $30 million. So yes, I would like to, at this point, I definitely want to talk about our esteemed panel of judges. Some of them were very sharkish, but that's just because when you have an amount of money, we are supposed to be stewards of the government's money.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is ensuring that you've done your diligence.
Right.
So yes, there were some very pointed questions, and it helps when you have 7 extremely smart judges in a room to determine how far we want to stretch that $30 million. And so, this was a culmination of a lot of work from a number of engineers here in the Armament Directorate, from our judges doing their homework prior to coming in the room, and to our pitchers and our awardees and the amount of work that they did.
Yeah. That's man, that seriously truly is amazing. And I think it's totally fair to ask those hard questions, to say, hey, like, how do we know? What do we get out of this? What's going to happen? Where does this go from here? And although that sounds like kind of funny, because initially when I heard that question from the judges, that was one of the main focus. Hey, what do I actually get with this capability? This brings to light for me several things. Just the importance of the communication of, when we're talking about the innovation ecosystem, like, your definition of success looks drastically different than my definition of what success looks like. We see this oftentimes through the acquisition process, which you're very privy to, where the operator says, man, I asked for an orange and you gave me a pink Cadillac. Or on the acquisition side, they're like, no, you asked for this. How are we supposed to know that that's what you meant? But and I think a lot of times the challenge with the acquisition or getting something across the finish line so it goes to a long-term program office is not the fact that people don't know what they're trying to do. It is very challenging to articulate all aspects of what operationally is needed and the circumstances that are surrounding that. And then to formalize that in a repeatable process is incredibly challenging. So in the innovation ecosystem, man, I personally think that this challenge that those small business innovators saw of communicating what they thought was good, I think this happens all the time, man. And the question that the judges ask are, okay, so is it a physical thing? Is it a theoretical thing? Like what is the
Right.
thing? I think that demonstrated so perfectly the confusion that happens at times in the innovation space when we're trying to press forward, when we're trying to create something new. Because if it's something new or if it's reapplication, maybe we've never seen it before. So if you've never seen a thing before, how do you know where to pull that kind of reference from? Have you seen that challenge as well? Of that, I think it's one thing, and then everybody shows up to the meeting. You're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, absolutely. So the translation of requirement to actual deliverable has always been a bit of a challenge, as you mentioned. But I think when we brought together this diverse team, a group from, as I said, Headquarters Air Force, from Global Strike, from ACC, from AFWorks, from AFRL, what we provided ourselves was the opportunity to have multiple points of view and to, in that feedback loop, in that question and answer session, to ensure that, all right, this is what we think we'd be getting. Is this what you're proposing? What is the thing that you want to give us? And so, one of the key components, I believe, of the innovation ecosystem is, hey, diversity of thought, diversity of team member, and ensuring that even if this is something that may not have the applicability in an AFRL context, maybe ACC sees something that they don't. And the ability for the judges to deliberate and to be able to talk about what is important from the pitches themselves and back and forth, and even in the deliberation time at the end of the day, well, it allowed for us to get solutions to problems that maybe we knew, maybe we did. In the old Donald Rumsfeld, we had known knowns, we had known unknowns, but then some of these folks came in. And because that innovation space is so broad and because we have such smart people out in the environment, sometimes those unknown unknowns, sometimes things we didn't know we needed or even wanted showed up and we were like,
Yeah,
yes, that's exactly what we need.
yeah, yeah. Kind of that magic sauce capability where you're like, where did you come from? Like this is
Right.
where you're reading our minds right now. That's crazy. I mean, I think that I honestly think it's so incredibly important to reemphasize this, especially for the wins when we talk about what are the wins taking place across the innovation ecosystem. On this Morpheus, on these live streams, we talked about this transition of innovation. A lot of people are, one, sick of the word, two, they're sick of the innovation theater at times that takes place when we don't truly like understand what we're trying to get to, which I think we just literally talked about. Of there's this comparison between perception, your perception, my perception, and then the reality that each of us are driving towards.
Right.
There, as we've seen in kind of the mindset of innovation become less, I don't want to say segmented, because CPI and our CPI brethren, they've been working the innovative element for a long time. It's just like the spark aspect, or this kind of organic or grassroots movement of bringing these ideas together just looks, it's a little bit different. It's in a little bit different way. And now that it's become something that we are doing culturally as an Air Force,
Mhm.
as that culture movement has taken place, I think this is an opportunity for a lot of people to look at what has been done and say, man, this can definitely be used other places. This can definitely be used, maybe not on the scale that was done, that you guys did, the armament director, because that was truly a grand scale and a huge impact. But how could somebody take these, what would you say these principles are that really made this successful? And how could somebody at a Sparksall, how could somebody at a MAGCOM, how could somebody at a squadron, how could somebody at a wing? What are those competencies or the things that really made this awesome that somebody could take and use anywhere that you would recommend just from you've seen? And I know that's kind of putting you on the spot, but are there some commonalities that you've seen that made this event so great that people could use just in applying towards their events or their collaboration in the innovation ecosystem?
Absolutely. So one thing that you mentioned that I think is important to emphasize is that as ideas come in, and they could come from anywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe someone at the squadron level, it could be a mom and pop shop, but knowing that there is potential in the architecture for you, I think is the first step. And ensuring that no one discounts their ideas or discounts their capability just because, hey, we're a small business, or
right.
maybe this doesn't have applicability, or I don't see the applicability. doesn't mean that there isn't space.
Right.
And so I think first and foremost is probably ensuring that we are pushing what our needs and our desires are. But at the same time, on the flip side of that coin, is ensuring that small businesses around or large businesses or that airman in the squadron who sees an efficiency that could be taking place allows themselves the space to be able to push that forward. And from our standpoint, ensuring that they have a venue in order to be able to push that forward. I think that's the biggest key is everyone knowing that there is space and there are opportunities, whether we know them or not, because we've got a smart panel of judges or whomever that see things that we may not see. So to not immediately discount yourself and to ensure that innovative ideas that you're coming up with don't die on the vine because there is space.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. There's space. And one of the things that was brought up a couple of times that I don't know, I don't think it was necessarily even intentional, but it was just the product of the culture I think you guys have there in the Armament Directorate is there's a lot of referencing to the support from leadership and the championing from leadership. And it was really cool to see. I forget her name, but the major who was there along with Major Ramirez. I think she'd previously been there, but as that what's that?
Madeline Jensen.
Madeline, yeah, Major Madeline Jensen. It was so cool to be able to hear the perspective from each of you, and even just other people that have been around the area. Talking to public affairs as well. That there was absolutely an attitude of hey, we trust you. Just like go, don't limit yourself. If the idea of it scares you because you're like, oh my gosh, this is a massive scale, like good, because that's the direction we need to go. What is for those people, because not everybody has the same experience with innovation, or not everybody has the same experience with trying to do something out of the box. All of that is different, and not pointing fingers in any direction. What is that like? Like what does that do for an organization when you have a leader that says, love you a lot, but stop asking me if you can? The answer is yes. Just do. Just go. What is that like? What is that like if you've never experienced that? What is that like?
So
what impact
great
does
question.
that have?
You know what? Really, and I think this is ubiquitous in any organization. When you feel empowered by your leadership, it drives you to go and be successful. So as you said, I'm fortunate at my current directorate to have leadership from the director down that is 100% behind pushing us forward. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to seize the initiative. We want to outpace our adversaries, and we want to be that Air Force that continues to be the best in the world. And so it's, culturally, because you've got your bottom up and your top down leadership, however it works, we've got an ecosystem here at the Armament Directorate where it's from both directions. You've got a ton of innovators who are coming up with ideas every day in different ways that we can achieve our objectives. And we've got leadership that is 100% supportive of it. And so to get back to your question, how does it feel? It feels great.
Yeah,
I mean, you run into those.
Great question, Trigger. Stating the obvious here, but I mean, seriously, sometimes I don't think we can overstate the simplicity of what an environment is like when you have leadership that trusts you, and the difference between that trust and the focus of trusting you. Because that trust isn't something that I don't feel like. I personally don't feel like that ability to build trust in an organization is not accidental.
Right.
It's just in the dynamic operational environment that we work. It's not because, there's constantly questions. There's constantly things coming up. There's TMT taskers that come down. Hey, we have this TDY. This is going up. This person is moving. It's so easy to get tied into the day-to-day and what do we have to knock out today just to keep our head above water. That to me, that seems like the standard of what can happen. But this intentional aspect of releasing people and trusting people and enabling them, as you'd mentioned, to dive forward, that seems like an intentional aspect to it. What, from different experiences you've had, what would you say is something intentional with that investment? Is there a consistent sync that you have with your leadership? What does it look like, and how would somebody build that if they're outside looking in? They see the huge success that Pitch Day was, that Weapons Pitch Day was. they are hearing us talk about the environment. How would they duplicate that? How would they start building a culture like that?
So I think it's a thing that's partially intrinsic, but I think that there's very much an emphasis now throughout the DoD, throughout the Air Force for sure, of being able to empower your personnel to do things that are going to push things forward. My previous boss, before I came into Disruptive Futures, we both read a book called Turn the Ship Around. And the emphasis was on, as a leader, being able to trust the people that work for you. And I don't think that my former boss was the only person who read this, because I've seen in multiple organizations now that I've been a part of, you see an emphasis on leadership allowing their personnel to really take control of their sphere of influence and to really like add and grow things into a place where it doesn't require the day-to-day, you're going to do this is what you know, because you've empowered your airmen enough to be able to come to you and say, boss, I got an idea and I think you're going to love it. And then the freedom to do that, I think, as we discussed previously, now it drives that culture where it's not fear, it's not listening to or requiring that day-to-day focus. It is you as an individual wanting to move the organization forward. And
Yeah.
so I think when you come to the cultural aspects of it, of course, your leadership is going to play a huge role in it, but your leadership empowering the folks in the organization to be able to do that, that is a cultural shift that I've seen over the past several years. And I think it's organizational wide. I think it's Air Force wide for sure. It's been a point of emphasis, excuse me, and it's great, as I said, as someone who has had the opportunity to go through multiple different organizations and see that that is something that the leadership is absolutely behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I could not agree with you more. I really couldn't. And it's so easy for anybody who is able to attend the weapons pitch day. It would be so incredibly easy to be able to see that environment, because it just, from the, from the event started, whether you're watching online or whether you're physically there, from the time that it started to the time all the way through, you could tell there was this freedom of thought. And honestly, I think when you get to the panel discussion, because there was, you had the pitch day, the businesses were pitching the first day. The second day was really the thought leadership, bringing experts in, some phenomenal leaders talking about AI. From the feedback that I had heard from people, they said it was probably one of the best collaborative AI sessions they've ever been part of. And these were the experts in the room of truly talking about, hey, what are some of the barriers? What are some of the milestones we think we're going to have to hit? And that's amazing when you talk about where small business is, because I say a small business, it's not that they don't have great ideas. They absolutely do. If they didn't, they wouldn't be getting awarded almost $2 million from a 5-minute pitch. That's a big deal. I mean, that's a lot of confidence to be found.
Absolutely.
But that culture that is able to grow that environment that businesses can come in, to me, it takes a confidence on the military side. It takes a confidence on the Air Force side of knowing the bounds of what you can do and what you can't do, and boldly approaching the bounds and saying, hey, we can't do this, but we can do this, and we can do this all day long. So welcome to the party. Welcome to the table. That seems just really amazing for one of the things that we've seen there. Saw the weapons pitch day. So for you, when you think about moving forward, what does it look like in the future? I know you, the Armament Directorate, has a lot of exciting things under its belt, and also, helping these 16 companies kind of get across the finish line over the next year. Would you mind, just real quick as we kind of wrap up, what would be something you're really looking forward to, or something that you've massively learned as a win from the innovation ecosystem, and something that you're looking forward to? Oh, I think his connection may be cutting in and out. If you're with us, Captain Jackson, stay here with us for a second as the connection comes back. As he was talking about what that culture looks like, this is one thing we encourage you over and over and over. Here at Morpheus, we got 4 pillars we focus on. First, connecting with the innovation ecosystem. Second, communicating with you, the innovation ecosystem. Third, human capital, not just like a robotic thing, but truly valuing you, your talent, your skill, and making sure that there's a pathway for you to be able to use those natural talents that you have. And last, and certainly not least, that transition aspect. How do we transition amazing capabilities and technologies moving forward? So it looks like we have Captain Jackson back here, which with that last question, the one I'll be able to go to is just waiting for the internet to be able to come back for you. When you think about what you would recommend to people, a two-part question. One, what are you most excited for coming up in the future for the Armament Directorate in the innovation space? And second part, what is the greatest innovative, what is the term I'm looking for? What's the greatest lesson learned in the innovation space you've had? Oh, we lost him, unfortunately. Okay. All right. Well, for that, he'll probably call back in here in a second. There he is. Sometimes where you're calling in from, it works. Sometimes it doesn't. All right. He's back in. Captain Jackson, we got you. All right. Just a second. All right. We got you. Are you there? Perfect.
I'm here.
He's
back.
there. Okay. What are you looking forward to as we tie up here in the acquisition directorate? What's exciting? What's up and coming?
So we've got another one of these. We do these annually, these pitch days. They're great. We're also looking at here in the near future, we'll have a booth at AFA
Awesome.
just for those folks who want to come and see what it is that we've got going on and see how they can participate. Because again, if we don't know, if you don't know, and if we don't collaborate, then how are we going to achieve the aims that we're looking for?
Right.
We'll also, at the beginning of November, have a weapons consortium, which is just the Armament Directorate pushing out what their priorities are to industry so that we're all aligned, and that going forward, we have the opportunity to be able to look at the roadmaps, the things that we're aiming for, and having partners that are ready, willing, and able to be able to push that information and push those solutions to us.
Right. As you're talking, keep going, my brother, because I'm pulling it up right in the background here on airforceweapons.com, where you can follow along with all these events that are coming up. I would imagine if it's not there, it will be there. But their AFA, we talked about coming up 19th through the 20th of September. It's going to be there at AFA. Friday, August 26th, you have Ask the Directorate. It looks like a Q&A there. There you have. There at the AFA Air and Space Cyber Conference.
Right.
All the events where they're going to be. So I'd encourage you, this is an amazing website. Truly, it's put together incredibly well of the updating of the upcoming events, how to be able to get tied into the Armament Directorate. And I would encourage anybody out there, if you're looking at this and saying, man, I don't, listen, I'm a pilot or I'm a maintainer or I'm a FSS troop. I don't have any connectivity to the Armament Directorate. Okay, I challenge you today. Call them and find out what they do. And this sounds like a super silly thing, a super simple, silly thing. However, I'm telling you, I've learned more from just randomly calling people and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from this office from Morpheus team. Would you mind sharing with me what you do? Because embarrassingly, I don't know what you do, and I probably should by now. Would you mind sharing with me? You know what I mean? So I encourage Captain Jackson may be like, dude, I got 84 different phone calls yet last week. Well, the phone calls. Any parting shots on the innovation mindset of what's the greatest thing you've learned just by being involved with this mindset, this thinking, this freedom that you've talked about?
Absolutely. As I said, and I don't know how to emphasize it anymore, we're open for business. And if there is something that you think is going to be beneficial to the Air Force, the DoD writ large, bring it to us. Bring it to us. We'd love to hear it. We need it. We need it, because understanding that we have expertise in some things doesn't mean we have expertise in everything. And we need that innovation. And here in America, we have the greatest innovation in the world. Let's bring that together. Government and industry aren't two separate entities. We are an ecosystem. We work together hand in hand, and we get the best solutions when we do that. So please come see us, come talk to us. Let's push this thing forward. As I said, seizing and maintaining the initiative is what we're about. Yeah.
Well said, my friend. Dude, well said. You can be a friend of Winning Wednesdays, Fail Fast Fridays, Disruptive AF. You can be a friend of Morpheus all the time with the wisdom you bring to the room every single time, man. It's amazing. And I'll just echo as we wrap up here what you said there. So many times we can get wrapped up in the day-to-day of what we do. We can get tied up in the immediate fire of today, the tyranny of the now, as I've heard people say it before. We can get so tied up in it. But one of the things, as we part out of here, I want to emphasize is exactly what you said. There is no more place in the world that has more freedom and capability to be able to explore the bounds, the edges, and push the bounds and the edges of capability, of development, of innovation than the United States of America. I know it's not a political statement at all. It's simply saying we have a great place and a great force to be able to share and spread and push your ideas. And I can tell you firsthand from the Vice Chief, from the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, they are desperate in encouragement, meaning they will do anything they can to encourage the airmen to continue driving forward and pressing the bounds and try and test and bring your idea forward and do it. That's what the United States Air Force is all about. That's what the Department of Air Force is all about. Space Force included, our guardian brethren and sisterin out there. So keep pressing the edge, my friends, because what Captain Jackson just said is 100% true. There's no better place to do it than where we're at right now, the United States of America. So Captain Jackson, dude, thanks so much for being a friend with us today at Winning Wednesday here with Morpheus. We look forward to having you back here with us as well in the future because your perspective has been absolutely huge, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Truly
Love it.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll see you later. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Such a professional. Such a professional. Well, hey, if you got questions, join us. We got answers. And if we don't have answers, friends, we'll find out how to get you an answer. You can email us, team@morpheusaf.com. That's right, team@morpheusaf.com. Send us your questions, and I promise you, we're going to get back to you, send you an email, give you a phone call, and we'll find out what it is you're looking for and a way to be able to help you, because that is what we do, is your strategic innovation cell, partnered right with the Strategic Studies Group, Project Morpheus, working directly with the Vice Chief of Staff and the Chief of Staff of the Air Force to help make sure you have the resources, tools, skills, ability, and talent available to you to get done what you need to do. So, my friends, we will see you Friday for Fail Fast Friday. Yeah, we love to win, but you know what? We love failing as much. You say, what are you talking about? Well, you got to join us on Fail Fast Friday to know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I said it. Failure, it's okay in the U.S. Air Force. What's not okay is stopping when you fail. We'll see you Friday, Fail Fast Friday. Trigger with the Morpheus. We're out of here. We'll see you Friday. See ya. So good to see you. Oh, still hitting the wrong slide. Where is it? There it is. See you, friends. Bye-bye.